It's 1990 again. Where are you? I'm at school, first grade. Get called out because my mom is picking me and brother up. We wonder what the hell is going on and where the hell she's taking us during the entire car ride. She pulls up to a movie theater. Then it hits us. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie just came out. As poor kids, we never, ever, got to see new movies. We were on cloud 9. I was 13. I was in 8th grade. People were doing the Vogue because of Madonna. Belle Biv DeVoe just released Poison and Sinead O'Connor just released Nothing Compares to You. I didn't care for pop music much and stumbled on this weird record from a band called Alice in Chains. It was the Facelift album and it was magical. I also got really into hip-hop, also smoked my first joint, had my first shot of whiskey, and saw my first set of real breasts. Haha. 1990 was fabulous. But 93, 94, 95, 96 were absolutely fucking golden. Don't forget PM Dawn, the group that would die without shoes. And Saturday morning cartoons were a thing. Call Display was a novel feature but also a separate device you plugged the phone into. People were asked to be kind and rewind. Tapes and tape decks, floppy disks. Space Quest 3 was just 1 year old. And color monitors were owned by only the well-off kids. Skateboards were neon as fuck. Kevin from the Wonder Years was just starting grade 9, and Star Trek TNG was in season 4. Borg anyone, AOL was only 1 year away from spamming the globe with their CDs. Jefferson Darcy was introduced to the Bundys, and Alf still had game, BMX bikes weren't just for drug addicts, they were fun for the whole family. And ramping the shit out of them to get sweet hair was not only requested, but required. Yes, it was the choicest of times, it was the raddest of times. Now scamper off kids, and don't come home until the street lights come on. A perfect life. We can tell this is objective fact because you've been able to describe everything that was so great about it in such detail. Definitely not romanticizing a random moment in time. Or you'd have been so vague that you wouldn't have even answered the question. You haven't even resorted to papering your 1990 experiences over with adjectives only, you've truly detailed some excellent experiences. July 1st, 1990, I believe was the year my best friend and I decorated our bicycles as part of a Canada Day parade sponsored by 2 local churches. I took many of my stuffed animals and strapped them onto my bike in different places. And I remember thinking it was the best decorated bike in the parade. We had just finished 7th grade and were the oldest kids in the parade. We were seriously awkward adolescents, but it was the turning point for many things. She would end up going to a private Christian school for high school. I would go to public school. We kept up our friendship but not in the same way. Eventually she went to Bible college, married and became a primary school teacher. I became an atheist, artist, and now architect interested in social justice. But that summer we were still kids, still innocent and holding on to that innocence for as long as possible. While 1990 and the following years were overall a great time in my life, this particular time in 1990 was pretty rough, and it was my own stupid fault. I had just exited 10th grade and I had a girlfriend I wanted to dump, but I was too chicken shit to do so. My much older brother came into town and I had the bright idea that maybe if I vanished for the summer my GF would lose interest and move on. So I talked my way into going back home with my brother to the middle of nowhere Kansas and the freaking military base he lived on for the rest of the summer. Keep in mind I had started playing guitar the year before, was heavily into thrash metal and my hair had just gotten to the point it could be considered long. Also, unbeknownst to me, my mother had talked a bunch of shit about me to said brother. She hated the fact that I was growing my hair out and was convinced I needed straightening out. So my brother took it upon himself to try and do exactly that for the several weeks I was stuck out there. Made my life miserable and we've never really reconciled even to this day. It doesn't help that he's become extremely religious, preachy, and far right over the intervening years. I emerged from the ordeal unscathed though, but my cowardly ploy didn't work. I was greeted by the GF immediately when I got back and I ended up having to dump her in person a bit later, the aftermath of which is a whole other story. About to become the first 6th grade class to go to middle school, they converted it from a 7-9 junior high to a 6-8 middle school. Otherwise I would have had another year of elementary, which was the last year at my elementary school before they closed it down and merged it with another school and half of another. The other half went to another school. Getting off the school bus on a Friday in October, the week between my birthday on October 18th and Halloween. Me and my brother are running in the front door like we just got a life sentence overturned, and as soon as we get in the front door our bags hit the floor as we're rushing straight to and out the back door to grab our BMX bikes. He has a Mongoose and I have a Dyno VFR frame, built up from spare parts. My mom shouts "Be back for din." We slam the back door before she can even get out the redundant instruction to be home for dinner and grab the bikes. We ride over to the dirt jumps we built in the back of our neighborhood to meet up with 10 of our other friends from the neighborhood and last as long as it takes for a cranky neighbor to call the cops on kids doing nothing wrong, who have nowhere else to go, that someone won't call the cops on us for simply being there being kids. We make our way to our friend's house and stop to flirt with some girls we passed. We do okay for a bunch of naive 13-year-olds, but our future selves are shaking their heads, mumbling questions asking just how we could be so lame. When we get to our friend's house we grub on some snacks, and go into the backyard to record some backyard wrestling. That's when we realize, it's Friday. ACW would be on later. Channel 19 Public Access Channel in South Jersey. RVD and Sabu are having a tag team match against Jerry Lynn and Tajiri, saying all of RVD's nicknames, as if we know what Mr. 420 inches even means. The night goes on, and since I'm 13, it goes on and on and on. We're just hanging outside, listening to Limp Bizkit, busting each other's balls, and enjoying the moment. We don't realize it, but in 6 years, 30 years in kid time, our lives would lead us to different places, doing different things. We might never be together collectively again. But we don't know this. We're too busy living the best years of our lives, without a care in the world. I am an egg in my mother's body. She is 18. She just graduated high school. It is the high point of her life. In 3 years when I am thrust into the world, my constant medical needs for the next 23 years will destroy anything good in her, so that when I move out, we essentially have no relationship outside of tearsly worded text messages. Just got done with 8th grade, so, hanging out at my friends' apartments, hanging out downtown, spare changing for smokes and weed, pimping beer off of homeless dudes, frat boys at the party store, or generally roaming the 2 square miles around my home with the aforementioned friends, getting into the kind of trouble a group of 2 to 10, 14 and 15-year-old punks/heshers/dirt rockers got into at 2 a.m. in the summer of 1990. Just woke up, got my chubby little ass some cereal and fired up the El Nintendo to play some Super Mario Bros. 3 during summer vacation, probably planning on hanging out in my apartment complex pool all day when the other kids wake up, and then finish off the evening with some Ninja Turtle action figure tournament. 90s in Southern California, what a place and time to grow up. Thursday night, start of July, I'm 16 and waiting for the start of service in a kitchen restaurant in Manchester. I'll be working till 2 a.m. and then either getting rat-arse drunk or as high as a king kite afterwards. Getting to bed about 7 or 8 a.m. ready to do it all over again the Friday night. That depends. If I am where I was back then, I suppose I'd be split somewhere in a cell in my father's testes and one of my mother's eggs. If I am where I am right now, just in a different time, then my apartment complex has yet to be built, and so I'd be on the ground in the middle of a forest near my town, somewhat in pain as I have fallen from the 2nd floor, assuming I'm limited to Earth, of course. 30 years ago, the planet may be in a somewhat different position and I could be suffocating in space. But if it's asking where I'll likely be if my present self were to go back, I'll probably be on the streets, talking crazy about how Clinton will be president and will get a BJ in the Oval Office, or how Donald Trump will be president in about 25 years, or Saddam Hussein will be an enemy of the American people, or superhero movies will soon be some of the highest performing movies ever made. But if it's asking where I'll likely be if my present self were to go back, I'll probably be on the streets, talking crazy about how Clinton will be president and will get a BJ in the Oval Office, or how Donald Trump will be president in about 25 years, or Saddam Hussein will be an enemy of the American people, or superhero movies will be some of the highest performing movies ever made. Probably watching a well-worn VHS copy of Radar Adventures in Babysitting. Playing categories in the pool with my siblings and neighbors, crushing Mario 3 on the original NES, or dreaming up a way to convince my mom to let us get McDonald's chicken nuggets for life. Just finished a very rough third grade, my first and only year in the gifted program. My teacher was a maniac who knew there was no one coming for her if she was abusive. Due to my neglectful parents staring down the barrel of 2 months summer vacation spent with my mentally ill mom, but I had my bike, my friends, and a big city to explore. Exploring life as a 24-year-old chick in inner Sydney, lived in Redfern and Newtown, exploring the early BDSM lesbian and fetish communities, Wicked Women, Hellfire Club, loving free love, early Mardi Gras and sleazeball. Actually, working for Mardi Gras lasted 5 years, working hard all day, going to the opening of an envelope for the community at night, beautiful restaurants popping up everywhere, sex, dance parties, raves, artists' installations, cabarets, drag. Oh Lord, so much fun. The really good drugs were mostly imported from Europe. The really good stuff, Oxford Street and Darlinghurst in its heyday, the City and Opera House, dance parties in the Botanic Gardens in summer as the sun set, times I'll treasure, as much as I'm happy to have bloody survived. Today in 1990 I'm at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, learning how to set up antennas and do field analysis. It's hotter and muggy, but I've just been promoted to PFC and the barracks are air-conditioned. Life ain't bad. A month from now I'll be on my last day of leave, ironing my Class Bs in my parents' house, when I see a breaking news report of Iraq having invaded Kuwait. The day after that I report to Fort Hood, for my first duty assignment, which results in me finding myself in Saudi Arabia by October, and Iraq by early in the following year. Cincinnati, Ohio. I graduated high school a couple months ago. I turned 17 in 2 days, and I'm headed to college in the fall. I flame out after a year, go through a lost period of months, and then recover, transfer to a different school, get married, graduate, have 4 kids, and have 2 successful careers, but I don't know that yet. Being a 4-year-old either in Oakland, California or L.A. at our what seemed like weekly BBQs at the park during the summer, likely playing tag, biking, riding and water gun fights with up-tempo R&B, a little bit of rock and hip-hop playing in the background. My aunt has VHS tapes of those days up until about 2003-ish. Now, we all record on phones and have someone edit them into one highlight reel type of video. One night in 1990 I woke up from a fun dream. Mom and Dad let me stay up and watch Pippi Longstocking with them, and my favorite scene, the subject of my dream, and my current goal had all aligned, pancakes. So to the kitchen I went, and I climbed the chair onto the counter where I was sure the pancake mix was hiding. I opened the cupboards and started pulling things out, rice, flour, salt and sugar, the pancake mix, all of it covering the stove and the floor. Guess that plan was foiled. So then I found my dad's prescription sunglasses, and I put them in the microwave and shut the door. Then I grabbed the top sheet of printer paper from the box under the desk, and I ran up the hall with it. What some of you may not know, is that printer paper used to be one long perforated sheet with track holes on the sides. So the rest of the paper came with me, and I kept it going for at least half a week. Then I took a nap in the middle of a big pile of paper, woke up the next morning, and as far as I'm concerned I suffered no consequences. I graduated high school about a month prior and I am looking forward to starting college, blissfully unaware that I will have to drop out a year later and not graduate for another 30 years, still pining after the girl I dated the previous year, also blissfully unaware that while I will date her again it will be the most painful breakup I ever go through. My brother is still alive but only has about 6 months until his murder, the only thing I wish I could go back and prevent. 20 years old assistant manager at Honey Baked Hams. July 21, 1990, is the date I bought my first brand new car. It was a 1991 Ford Escort LX bright blue, with a sunroof. The only 3 miles on the odometer were from my test drive. I drove it everywhere, almost 90k miles on it, when I totaled it July 5, 1996. I'm 4 years old. My mom is heavily pregnant. My aunt is taking me to a vacation with her family because my parents can't feed me properly. They both lost their jobs at the same day. Factory they were working in just closed down due to the war that was coming in several months' time. I'm in the northwest of England. My youngest brother has just been born. My dad takes me to the hospital and lets me, a young child myself, hold my baby brother, and I'm struck down with how tiny and precious that little life is. It's quickly forgotten by the time I start my second year of school, but the epiphany remains, always. I get up after snoozing my alarm clock for the 5th time, shower in a hurry, run down the stairs, say hi and bye to my parents. No breakfast today. I'm late for school again. My dad shouts something but I can't understand it anymore. I'm already on my bike to school. Later the day, just returned from school. I turn on MTV while doing my homework, then code something on my Amiga 500. I take out my athletics outfit out my bag and put in the volleyball stuff. I swing myself on my self-built racing bike and head off to training. I ride home in the dark. I still have no lights on this thing, but it's okay. It's a cycling trail only. I get home. My mom kept a big portion of her famous lasagna warm. I eat it all, then continue coding till I'm told to go to bed. I forget to reset my alarm clock and fall asleep thinking of that beautiful girl in class I'll never ask out. The 90s seem better. That's because peacetime, an economic boom in the West, and low house prices meant, in general, that your folks could look after you better than their parents could while you were being mentally sedated by an endless influx of cartoons and video games. 1990, first day of July, I am in Florida, I think, as a visiting queen to another county beauty pageant. My dress is pink with glued-on rhinestones. Dad was in summer academy for the Air Force, and this is the week we discovered I'm allergic to silicone when my gel shoes start eating my skin. I also get a gnat in my eye and attacked by a cloud of nauseams. My sister hits my nose with her Sebastian toy because I won't give her flounder. In a week, we'll be back in Tucson where I'll perform accidental self-surgery on my tongue tie with a sippy cup and freak out an entire restaurant. 1st of July 1990 was a Sunday. I was 16, and was just finishing 4th year in high school, where I had done well in the exams. That day I had probably gone to my friend's house to play computer games. I would, 7 years later, ghost the same friend after years of his increasingly toxic undermining bullshit, but in 1990 we got along well. It is 8:45 at night here, so right now on 1st of July 1990 I would probably be sitting in the living room with my family watching television. I am 6 years old in Bedford, Texas with my mom and 4-year-old brother. At this point in time I probably at swimming lessons or just watching Nickelodeon in the living room. My dad's at work with the FDIC, which he would be for the next 28 years. Me just being a kid and starting kindergarten in August. I fucking hate holidays in the sea. Mountains cause your legs to hurt and your feet to blister. But at least you don't have to listen to your mother that keeps issuing pointless commands like jump over this wave or swim here and laughing at your misfortune, while all you can think of is food because you haven't had anything since breakfast. Also, probably learning to code in Visual Basic to make fun at school Word and Excel classes.